All right. Greetings, everybody. Uh, so, this is part two of kind of a demonstration of my JMeter AI agent framework. If you watched the first video, I kind of walked through basically some of the basics and just kind of gave a brief overview of what the actual framework does. Just to recap, so the framework basically will take human readable text and it will basically allow the user to go ahead and take that text and then pass it to the AI agent framework. And the framework will then go ahead and take that and it will take that human readable text, parse it, and create a formatted task file, and then pass that to a browser use agent to go ahead and do some browser automation. And then after the browser automation, well, in parallel to the browser automation, there is a separate agent that will go ahead and capture all the backend HTTP traffic, and then that is output to a JSON file. And then after the browser automation has completed, there is another agent that will go ahead and take that JSON file, format it, and create a JMX JMeter script. And then after that, there is a way to go ahead and run a smoke test using that JMeter JMX file. And then the framework will, since it's using Streamlit under the hood, it will go ahead and create a basic little summary report showcasing the summary results. It'll showcase a results table and then also results chart. So let me go ahead and demonstrate this, and then we can talk about some of the configurations that you can set for the framework, because I wanted to basically showcase how this works. So right now, I will go ahead and kickstart this. So let me minimize this. All right, so we have the framework here. Well, this is the UI for the framework, and then we can go ahead and start a session. Again, this will just output what the agents are doing in the backend side. And then you can go ahead and browse for a task file that you want to automate through the browser. So in this case, I'm going to select this Blaze demo um, file, and then I can go ahead and process that task file. And again, just to recap, so what happens is once you take that raw task file, it sends it to an LLM. It will then try to parse it and then output back a formatted version of the same information that you gave it. So, and the formatted version basically has steps within there to kind of showcase this again. So, initially, we get the raw file here, and this would be you'll get the raw file, and then after you get the raw file, it's then formatted. So if I go into here, and then the formatted file will basically have all the different navigation uh, that you want to automate, and it's broken down into steps, and then basically you have a tag that will end the actual automation itself. So very simple, nothing too complex. So after you have the formatted file, you can go ahead and run the browser task, and then it will go ahead and kickstart Chromium again. Uh, and after it kickstarts Chromium, over here from the command line, you'll see that it's actually interacting with browser use, and browser use is outputting some verbose information. So it's just basically information that browser use has for what the agents are doing, and so you can kind of see and kind of track. what's going on from the agent side, from the backend side, versus what you see over here on the left, which is the actual browser automation piece. And so, just to kind of recap again, so browser use uses Playwright under the hood. And since it uses Playwright under the hood, it's able to extract all the DOM elements of the actual web page. And since it's able to extract the DOM elements, it can try to locate various items on the actual page, which is very helpful because if you actually wanted to pass in like the actual DOM elements or XHTML or XPath of some of the items on the page, you can pass that in as well. So, but for my purpose, I'm just using human readable text versus trying to pass in like an XPath or anything. So it'll take a couple minutes for this to run. So we will just let it run, let it do its thing. So I'll come back over here and you can see. Typically, when it's going through the actual browser automation, I tend to just like leave it and let it do what it does. So now it's going to fill out the form with this information here. So just FYI, this form really doesn't do anything. Um, so if you were to actually use like Chrome Dev Tools and you were to like look at the traffic, this form really doesn't do anything. Uh, well, what I mean by that is there's not like an API request, so you're not making like an API post request or anything. All right, so it's just about done. It's just going to do like a little validation and then pretty much that's about it. All right, it's done. Okay, so let's take a look at the files the output files. So again, you have your raw file that was after you uploaded a file, it would basically just copy that to this raw folder, and this is just the raw file that you initially uploaded. After that, then it's passed to the LLM, and then it formats everything, and so it puts it in this formatted folder here. After that, the browser automation will start. It will run, and then once it's done running, there's a logs folder here, and it will output the actual JSON file. So if I open up the JSON file, this is something I was showcasing in the first video. So in here, it will, as you can see, it has all the HTTP requests when it was going through the actual UI. But this is very similar to our HAR file, but the key difference again is that I am injecting metadata into this JSON body, so it's similar to a HAR file, but not exactly a HAR file. So if you see here, everything the way this JSON file is structured is, so it's basically taking those steps that you defined in the formatted file, and then it basically creates, it does the same thing. It basically adds this metadata into this JSON object, and then underneath each of these steps are all the relevant HTTP requests for that particular step, which is going to be coming very handy once we actually create the JMX file. So let me go ahead and do that now. So if I come back over here to the framework, again, the agent viewer over here kind of lets you see everything that's going on. So it's just basically all the events that are going on. You can come over here to the agent viewer and look at the information here. So, but you can see that it mentions that here's the actual network capture and JSON. So it's telling you the location of where it saved it to. So let me go ahead and click on Generate JMX. And that happens pretty quick. It doesn't take long. So there's not nothing very complicated about creating the JMeter script. So you can see here that the JMeter JMX file was actually created. So if I come back over to the files over here. So if I go over here to generated, within here you can see that there's the JMX file. So this is the JMeter script that was actually created. Now, if I take JMeter and I open this up, basically you will see some basic components for the JMeter script that was created. So you have your test plan, you have a cookie manager that was added, you have a user-defined variables that was added, and then you have your main thread group. So in here, you can see that there's a number of threads that are set to 10, a ramp up, and then a loop count. So you can actually set that information. So we have a JMeter config YAML file, and within this YAML file, you can set your thread groups for number of threads, ramp time, loop counts, and then there's other elements, JMeter elements within this JMeter config YAML that you can add, you can include or exclude, basically. So, for example, we have a cookie manager. This is enabled, it's turned on. We have user-defined variables. It's enabled, it's turned on. So going back to the script, you can see there's a cookie manager, there's a user-defined variables. If I were to set those to false, it would not include those in your JMeter script. It would actually exclude them. And then you have information for your CSV data sets. You have some other information here for your samplers. I would not touch the sampler information here. And then you have information down here for setting your listeners. So currently the only listeners that work right now are your view results tree and your aggregate report. The other two down here I have not added yet. These are kind of just placeholders for now. So which is your response time graph and your summary report. But these two have been added. They do work. So coming over here to your thread group again, if I expand this over here, what you're going to see is what you'll notice is that it now basically it basically grouped everything together, and it has the same kind of structure as your browser automation steps. So if you see here, what it did is it actually used a simple controller to group together all the HTTP requests based upon the steps. So if I look at the first step here and I open this up, you're going to see that it has, various different GET requests. And if I open up these other steps, you're going to see that there's all the different HTTP requests that were captured in the actual JSON file. And then if you expand these, what you're going to see is you're going to see a header. And so it also, since it captures the actual header information, it automatically includes the header within any of your HTTP request. So in this case, this is like a GET. Now, if I were go to a post, what you're going to see here is it actually has the post body information, and then if I click on the header, you're going to see that it has the header information too. So kind of a good check is if you look over here and look at the content type, usually when you're doing a post request, you need like an application JSON. So if I go to some of these other posts, you're going to see the relevant post data in there. Same for this add to cart. There's some post data within here as well. So you're going to see a variety of information, but basically it categorizes everything based upon the steps. So kind of similar to like an end-to-end flow, right? So because if you have an end-to-end flow, you definitely probably want to categorize uh, each of your HTTP requests into some type of controller, whether it's a transaction controller or a simple controller or any other type of controller, just to keep your structure of your end-to-end flow intact. So now there's some additional enhancements that I'm planning to make, and one of those enhancements is actually to turn this step into like a test case. So you can actually have test cases, and then underneath the test cases, you can have test steps. But that's something I'm currently working on right now. But for the most part, again, it has all your HTTP requests, and then just groups everything by simple controllers. So you do have the option to use a transaction controller if you wanted to. So if you come over here to controller config, currently right now I only support two kind of controllers, or simple controller or transaction controller. So if you set this controller type to transaction, it will actually, when it generates the JMX, it will turn this to a transaction controller. So just a couple options right now. Anyways, I'll close this. Well, I will not save it. And now I can go ahead and run a smoke test. So if I just click on run smoke test, you're going to get this little thing over here saying it's running. I might put like a spinner over here or something just so you know that it's executing. Um, Now, if I come back over here to the command line, so I'll just minimize this so you can see it. You can see down here that it actually kick-started. It kick-started JMeter down here. So basically, when it runs a smoke test, it will basically run JMeter in non-GUI mode, and then it just uses whatever configurations that you used and that you configured for your JMeter script. So you can see here there's two threads, two active threads, two started. This shouldn't take long. I think it's only going to run like 3 or 4 minutes. So I wanted to make the smoke test short enough where you can actually see the output for the actual results. So we have 5 threads that were started and 3 of them finished. So what you're going to notice is since this is going pretty quick through the JMeter script, because currently actually there's no, you can set a think time in the user defined variables, but I don't have the flow control action set up yet, so it's not actually using any think time. But that's on my to-do list. So all right, so 1 thread is active, 10 started, 9 finished. So it's almost done. All right, cool. So that's the end of the smoke test. Now, if I go back to the UI, what you're going to see now is there is a new section down here. It says expand to see smoke test results. And if I come back over here to the agent viewer, you're going to see over here that smoke test results are saved to this results folder, and you're going to see there is a JTL file and your JMeter log. So if I come back over here to the actual files, and I go to results, there's your JTL and there's your JMeter log. All right, so now I can click on this little thing down here. I can expand it. And now this is your basically your JMeter smoke test results. So this is basically what it looks like. So you have your results summary. You get your duration of how long your smoke test ran for, start time, end time, and UTC, and then just some key metrics. So again, it's nothing fancy, but it's just here to like showcase like if you run a smoke test, if you create a JMeter script, you can run a smoke test on it, and then you could check to see if everything is working as expected. If you do come across errors, then you could probably go in and find out what those errors are, and then you can make the adjustments as needed. So, but yeah, so you see here it had a max virtual users as 4. So again, I had set my JMeter test to 10 virtual users, but we only got 4 max users concurrency because some users were finishing before the other users started. So, because my ramp up time, what did I set my ramp up time? My ramp up time was 100 seconds. So, and then you have your average response time, your 90th percentile response time, and these are all in milliseconds. And then you have your error rate, and then just a nice little pie chart. If you put your mouse over it, it will basically bring up this little pop up. And then we have some tabs over here. So we have a results summary tab and we have a results table tab. So if I click on that, you're going to get basically your JMeter results. So it just puts it in a nice little table. So you can see here there's number of samples, number of errors, your error rate, your average response time, your min, max, and your 90th percentile. And then since it's using Streamlit, you can download this as a CSV. If you wanted to, you can actually expand this to full screen, and you can look at this in full screen mode if you wanted to. And then the last part of the results is there a results chart. So if I click on the results chart, you're going to see basically a very basic chart. It has 2 y-axis. You have over here on the left your 90th percentile response times in milliseconds, and then over here on the right you have your virtual users, number of virtual users, and then basically you have your elapsed time over here on the bottom. So again, this is in UTC format. But this is an interactive chart. So if I come over here and like hover over this, you can see that the number of virtual users at this point was 4. If I come down here and you can click on or hover over this point here, you can see the 90th percentile response time is 168 seconds. So I'll probably have to try to play with the fonts a little bit because sometimes it's a little. Actually, you know what? I'm at 80% over here. So if I go to 100%, it might look a little better. But you can see here's the time values down here. Again, if I go to these different parts, you can see like there's 3 users. Down here's 1 user. 3 users again. I can hover over here, 179 milliseconds. And so, yeah, so this is basically it. This is the actual UI. And this is currently what the framework does right now. So, anyways, I'll probably have to make another video to kind of go into the configuration details and kind of go into the UI itself a little bit more. And then the different agents and modules, kind of go to deep dive into the code level. I'll have to make a separate recording for instructions on how to get started, just like a quick start guide. So, but anyways, thank you for watching. If you have questions or comments, feel free to leave me one, and I look forward to showing you the enhancements as they come along. So have a good evening. Bye.